Welcome to The Divine Style with Gerlinda Stella, personal stylist and spiritual mentor, and Alison Maiden, psychic medium and metaphysical teacher. Each episode we share spiritual lessons to cultivate self-love and self-expression so you can become the best version of you. Welcome to the Divine Style podcast. I am excited to talk today about what heaven is like. What happens on the other side? I like to call it heaven, but people have different words for it.
Spirit world, heaven, sixth dimension. Whatever does your religious or belief system justice, really.
Yes.
I think that we both have had readings where people have described to us what's on the other side. What I find really fascinating and has been a constant through all of them is that people end up in either the house they lived in that they loved, or one of the places was a holiday shack by a lake. I described the shack, I described the lake, I described exactly where they used to lie on the deck, everything down to the last detail, and it was like, no, that's where we used to go for a holiday. It was his favourite place in the world.
That's beautiful. That's exactly the sort of things that I get as well.
Yeah. So we create our heaven.
That's beautiful. It's a really nice thought. I know that it's one of the first questions people say, are they okay? Where are they? Because it feels like when we're doing readings and they come, they are in the room and we feel their presence. And,
absolutely. And
the person that's on the other side that we're reading for feels the presence of their loved one as well. And they often say that too, I feel them around me. But then when we tune in and ask them, whereabouts are you? Show it to me. I often get shown, I've been shown a garden and describe the flowers exactly the same thing. That's the garden.
That's their garden. Yeah. Only in this garden there's no weeds.
Yeah.
The flowers always bloom. And the interesting thing, I think, is smells as well. Like I'll be in kitchens where Grandma used to love to cook, and her favourite thing to cook was pasta sauce, and so I'll get that rich tomato smell, and I can hear the pots and pans clanging, or I can smell them baking, cakes and sweet biscuits and things like that. So they're having a wonderful time over there, doing what they used to do here.
Yes, I did get a really strange one once, and I know we've spoken about aliens and things like that. But this gentleman showed me that he was like on a spaceship. And I was
really?
Like, that's fantastic.
Oh, that would be mine. Beat me up, Scotty. Yeah, I mean, that's anything that you basically desire is how it feels, and you can explore those things. So I'm sure, as we've spoken about before in our other podcasts, aliens exist on different dimensional levels. So why shouldn't there be aliens in the sixth dimension? I'm sure there are.
Yes.
And if your soul wants to go and have an adventure, why not?
Well, and it was amazing because it was his daughter that I was doing the reading for, and she's like, that sounds just like Dad.
Yeah.
Of course he'd be on a spaceship.
So it's the first thing he did, so I'm off with the aliens. I'm out of here. And, I think there's a lot to be said for how you perceive your afterlife to be, as in before you go, what you actually believe in. So if you believe that there's going to be a heap of angels around clouds playing harps, maybe that's what you'll see. That's your creation. That's what it's about. So what's your heaven look like, Gerlinda?
Oh gosh,
at this point?
My heaven. I would definitely want angels there. I think
you do.
Would be, I'd want to be able to fly.
Fun.
I love that experience of being free and flying. And
I can't even go on a ride at the show. So that's not for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
see, I love it. I'm all over it. I'll go on the scariest
I'm too
rides.
sensitive. My equilibrium goes out, and then I'm on the floor, I'm on the deck, or I'm throwing up or something. No, I couldn't do that.
What would your heaven be?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question. I think probably just with my family,
I was going to say loved ones being surrounded by. That is really comforting.
I just want to sit and have a really long chat to Mum, and just, and enjoy that. And then just, be the voyeur, watch over the children and make sure they're all doing the right thing and poke them in the head if they're not. I'm going to come back and haunt my kids.
Oh, I tell my kids I'm going to do that too all the time.
Yeah, I mean, with the role that we have here of connecting people to the spirit world, I'm sure that somehow over there the role would be continued. It's just on the other side.
Oh, well, I did have a mother come through, and she was trying to tell her daughter what she should do, and she said, "I'm not doing that." I said, "I'm not saying your mum's correct. I'm just saying
this is what she's asking you to do.
She's telling you to do." Yeah.
Hey, how about the funny ones? Like, oh gosh, I had a lady that was absolutely livid that her headstone was not what she wanted. And
funny.
You know, that you picked the wrong granite. That wasn't the granite I wanted. And the funny thing was, you know, the daughter said, "Yeah, I know, but they didn't have the one you wanted, Mum." And this was the closest thing to it. And it was like, no, you have to get a new one.
That's brilliant.
And then she started having to go about the kitchen tiles she'd chosen. And this thing. I think Mum was a bit controlling, quietly.
Just a tad. Yeah. That is so funny.
Their personalities don't change when they go over, you know.
No, they do. I do find that they become more forgiving of things. Oh, yeah. Most of them, anyway. I guess you get.
But they're still cheeky, and they're still, you know, they still can have an opinion.
It is really interesting when you start tuning into where they go, because they can't. I mean, like you said, we can create whatever it is that we want to create, and often memories that we create here, we can recreate.
Oh, definitely. I think so. The fishermen, I love the fishermen. It's usually, you know, there'll be granddads or dads, but they'll have their fishing hat on and they'll be sitting in the boat that they could never afford while they were here.
Oh, nice.
But in spirit, they've got one. Well, you can virtually have whatever you like. So, of course, you know, if you want a 47-foot cruiser, you could have one over there. So you think big. Yeah. We probably at this point should also talk about what happens when people get stuck. You know, what kind of...
When you don't go over.
Yeah, when they're that in-between, that limbo, astral plane stuff, which is... there's some certain bubbles of reality that you can get stuck in, what they call karmic pain traps, where you go back over the things that have happened to you in your life here that have been painful, or even your own passing that's been painful. I've spoken before about the trip I did to Hawaii, and then went on to the Arizona and was like right in the middle of the bombing of Arizona, and I could feel the heat and I could hear the screams of the men and all that, and that was a karmic pain trap that they were trapped in. And once you release them, of course, they go into spirit world and they're healed and go into that beautiful big hospital that I keep seeing. But before that, you know, if someone's had a tragic or traumatic passing and they're not passed over, then they can be in these pain traps. So it's important as spirit mediums and people that work in this arena that we are able to get in there and we're able to help them to recognise that that's not the truth, and that we can release them into that beautiful, healing, wonderful world, the spirit world.
And I know we have spoken about what sort of gets people stuck there, but I think it's important to cover again. So things like, you know, traumatic passings. That was one that
not
you
knowing
mentioned.
they're dead.
Not knowing they're dead.
Yeah,
that's very curious, isn't it? When people go around living thinking no one's talking to them.
Well, yeah. And someone else has moved into my house, and they brought all their stuff in, and what's going on? You know, so this is why you get spirits that get annoyed.
The poltergeist
want to knock your stuff off the table because, hey, that used to be my table. What's going on here? You can understand it. I think Hollywood's made a few movies on that sort of thing. You know, Sixth Sense was one of them. That was quite a clever movie, that one. Did you ever see that?
Oh, yes, that was good. I see dead people.
Yeah, well, that's where that famous line came from, obviously. But there was another one, I think, Heaven Can Wait was another one, and there was another one with a young girl who was actually in a coma, but her spirit was back in her apartment and had been leased. What's that lovely actor? Mark Ruffalo. I like him. Mark Ruffalo. He played the Hulk later on in the Marvel movies. That one.
Awesome.
Yes, it's one of his earlier movies, and it was a really amused me because I thought, yeah, I can see this, because when people start to think about the other side of life, like, you know, if they have been trapped here and they're still in the house, or they're still in their version of what the house used to be, and then all of a sudden somebody else moves into their space, you'd be annoyed.
It would be very disappointing, wouldn't it, if someone did that?
Yeah.
What are some ways that you've heard, that any curious things that you've seen people talk about as if what they're experiencing in heaven?
Well, they've talked a lot about, you know, other loved ones that they've they've seen, and that they've wanted to reassure their families that, you know, old wounds have been healed, or you know, new bridges have been built between them and maybe a parent that they didn't get along with very well. So there's a lot of healing that goes on in spirit world. They often talk about pets and loved pets that they're still with, and I'll often see those pets with them as well. And so I think what they're trying to do is say, hey, my life is good over here. I haven't left anything behind that I'm missing, or that, you know, I'm sad about.
But the ones that get stuck can also get stuck to objects as well, can't they?
Yes, that's right.
And I find this really curious because when you, in life, one of the biggest things that we're meant to be able to do is let go.
Yes.
And that's so that at the end we can let go.
Yeah.
Because if we're holding on to things, when it comes time to leave, we may not want to.
No.
And so how does a spirit attach to an object?
Well, again, it can be traumatic. It can be something that, you know, like a car, for instance. There might have been an accident in that car where they did pass. Actually, there was one back in Adelaide that we found out the car. They said the car was possessed. It was haunted. It wasn't possessed. But the radio used to change frequencies often. And they would find that the lights would come on, you know, so they were playing around with the electricals, which spirits can do. So it turns out that the car owner, before them, actually gassed himself in the car. So he took his own life in the car. So the car wasn't actually damaged as such in an accident, but the person had done that, you know, the deed, so to speak, in the car. So we went and we spoke to him about it, and we said, you know, why are you still here? And his answer was, because I've got nowhere to go.
Right. He didn't realise that he could go anywhere else.
He was in such a lot of despair when he passed. He didn't feel that he was welcome anywhere.
Oh, that's so sad.
It was really sad, and it took me a while actually to get through to him and to be able to get him to trust me. And so I actually brought his father through from spirit, because that was the main person that needed to tell him that he was forgiven.
Yeah.
And so, and that was guidance from my guides. So we brought Dad through, and what I do there is I open up to the spirit world, I open the portal to the spirit world using Reiki energy. And then his dad was able to step through that from the spirit world, like not all the way in, but halfway through in the portal, in the tunnel. And he was able then to take him across, and he was fully healed and happy and ready to go, you know. So I think communication is so very important when it comes to any of these trapped souls. We've got to be able to talk to them, and they are just people.
Yes.
They're just people without a body.
And it is really important too that if you are somebody that does this work, that you have had some understanding around the training and that sort of thing, because you might be doing not maybe the right service. You know, you can do a disservice if somebody isn't meant to maybe go and, you know, cross at that time in the right way. You could send them to the wrong place. Not great.
Don't open to the wrong door.
Don't open the wrong door, because
yeah.
I know that I've had a similar thing happen where I was sent someone through, and I brought through their grandmother, and it was amazing because he just wouldn't go across. He was actually finding it enjoyable to stay here. He wanted to feel needed and wanted here, and it was actually quite a frustrating conversation, and I realised it was too much for me, so I called in angels, and they brought through his grandmother, and she was able to take him back where he was meant to be.
Yeah, well, there are angels that are in charge of this sort of work, you know, and they're more than willing to help. And a few times I've had to call in what I call the psychic police, some of Archangel Michael's legions, and just to come in and actually clear the space, because the people they're just too far gone. They won't listen to you. The longer they spend in the astral plane, the more mad, unfortunately, they get. So
because it'd be confusing, because
you're
not here nor there. You're literally in between.
Yeah, that's right. They just forget they're human even sometimes. So it can be quite daunting.
Can get scary.
Yeah. And I think that's true when people say evil things have attached. I think sometimes they've just been over there so long that they've lost that human aspect to their psyche, and they just really all they're after is to hurt people and to be frightening to people. So that's when you got to call the big guns, right? Don't be frightened to call in the big guns.
No, that's right. That's when you can call people in to help you clear the space and really heal it, because it is all about healing. It isn't about condemning people or anything like that. It's to be able to give them that unconditional love and forgiveness that they're craving, that they really need in order to move forward.
Yeah, every soul is beautiful. It just needs a bit of help to get back to its purest form. And Archangel Michael is the angel to call upon for any kind of work in this way. Archangel Azrael is also the angel that guides souls across. So if you find yourself sitting at the bedside of someone who's passing, then calling upon Azrael will definitely help get them to that tunnel where they're meant to be, because we need to get them across, right? Yeah.
So they can experience their heaven. And sometimes we are their heaven, like when we've spoken about spirit guides, where they want to come back and still contribute and be part of it.
Yeah, I think it's so important to recognise that, especially if you've had a bad relationship with a parent or someone, even a loved one. I know that sometimes when people have chosen to take their own lives, you feel resentful and angry at the fact that they did that to you, that, why did you do this to me? They didn't actually do it to you. And I think what you have to realise is that you're a part of it, most definitely. You're part of the journey of that person's soul. But they never, it wasn't a deliberate act as such. It's that they're in such despair at the time. So learning to release that and forgive it. I think when we communicate with people on the other side, that's the biggest part of the deal here, is to help people understand what's actually been going on and why things happen. And same when people have been in situations where unfortunately there might have been a murder or something like that, and I have had dealt with that as well, particularly when I was in the States.
Wow, there's a lot of stories over there, isn't there?
There is some crazy stuff that happens, and and it is it's a terrible thing to go through your life not knowing what happened to a loved one,
especially when people go missing and like you say, not knowing if they had an unfortunate accident and they were just never found, or things like that.
Yeah, so I've actually had quite a few occasions where I've been able to contact the person on the other side and go through basically what happened and be able to... We even solved a murder when we were in Los Angeles.
Incredible.
I know, but the person that committed it was already passed over.
Okay.
So it was just a reassurance to the family that they were correct.
So they'd already had the suspicion.
They'd had the suspicion for many, many years, and that they were totally correct in their suspicions. And it gave the daughter a lot of peace in knowing that that's actually what had happened. Yeah. Amazing. It is incredible what they bring through and
what happens over on the other side, that it is really about healing, and to know that they are okay, that they're happy over there.
Oh, for sure. Like I say, I've never ever met a spirit that's been in the spirit world that's come through and said, "Oh, I hate it here."
They're living it up, just in a different way.
Yeah. Eating biscuits, not going any way, like it's been a good place for me.
I think that's a good point to bring up too, that when they are looking back too, they're not actually looking at you and judging you for where you're at all. Like we might have said that there are some spirits that come back with that same personality, but if they're looking over you, it's not necessarily that they're disappointed in some choices you've made or anything. They're really there for the celebrations as much as they are for general.
Oh, look, absolutely. If people are doing the right thing by others, then of course, there's nothing to judge, right? I have had on the odd occasion where someone's come through and said they're not happy with other family members about what they're doing to people, particularly when it comes to like the will or the money aspect or that sort of thing.
They do like to mention that, don't they?
They do, and that's fair enough, because if someone's not being kind or not doing the right thing, then I suppose they have an opinion. They're allowed to have an opinion on that, but it's not affecting them directly.
No.
It's more about the happiness of the people that they love that are left behind. And I just had one lady recently who had a real go at the fact that the pearls were meant to go to someone else in the family. I think it might have been the granddaughter. And I think it might have been a sister-in-law that stepped in and took the pearls, and she wasn't happy about that because she had strict instructions to give the pearls to the granddaughter, and it was very, very interesting. And there was something, and I can't mention what this is, but there was something else that had happened around that. And apparently, I had a message from this particular lady afterwards, and she said, well, I actually brought up what actually happened with this particular person, and she returned the pearls immediately.
Oh, that's good. That's a great outcome.
So Nana in Spirit World was like, I'm going to get those pearls to where they're meant to be.
Oh, that's good.
It was just something that had been said that no one else would have known. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So she went to her and she said this, and this is what she told me through this medium, and I think it just put the wind up her.
Oh. That's brilliant. That's good.
So she gave the pearls.
She's like, oh no, karma. Oh, that's funny. I did have one where the father, he'd shown me that there were watches, and like lots of watches, and the daughter, she got really emotional and said, I didn't get a choice of the watches, but he told me straight away he'd already picked out the one for her. So everyone else had got the ones they were meant to, and she was going to get the one that was rightfully hers.
Yeah.
But it was hard at the time because she hadn't received it yet, because she said they all got the pick and I haven't. And I said, no, he's sorted it, it'll be fine.
Yeah, Granddad's decided this is yours.
Yes.
Right? So yeah, look, there's lots of those little tiny stories that when you put them all together, you think, well, they are having an influence on us. They are watching over us. They are seeing what we do. They're not going to interfere on your life path because that's your choice, and we all have free will. But they will gently guide us in different directions, or throw birds at us, or poor birds, or feathers, or butterflies, or anything that they can do to get our attention. If we are going off that path or wandering into something that might be dangerous for us, that isn't on our karmic path to meet that end, so they will interfere on those levels. Where they are in Spirit World, they can see what we're doing, but they don't. People often ask, oh my God, can they see me in the bedroom, and can they see me in the toilet?
I used to worry about
that. They don't care about that stuff. They don't want to go in there with you, like seriously.
Although, how often have we had that?
Oh my gosh, well, a few times. When I haven't listened to them, right, when I've been too busy or whatever, they have caught me on the toilet. I will admit that, but it's not something that they care about.
Yeah.
It's not a deliberate thing. It's just like, well, it's the only time I can talk to you, and you're not being bothered by other people.
Like a 3-year-old kid, really, isn't it? They
oh my
come
gosh.
in and always find you when you're on the toilet.
I know, right?
Or on the phone.
It's just you can't escape them when you're a medium, or when you are here to do this work. A lot of mediums say, oh yes, I can switch off. Well, I'd like to know how that happens, because I have my down times where I can't hear them because they're giving me a rest. But if something emergency comes in, or something comes in that they want to tell me, there's nothing sacred.
I do I do think it's quite funny, because the amount of times you've told me, because I'll say, I just try and switch it off. She's like, you're shutting down your chakras, stop it. Alison's like onto me, like, don't do it. Yeah,
you can have a rest, but you got to like keep everything moving and healthy and clear. And remember, you've always got to keep things clear. So clearing your chakras and clearing your energy field is really important, especially if you've been talking to people on the other side that maybe have got a problem or had a problem.
That is a very good tip. Thank you so much for listening today. This has been another awesome chat.
It's been fun.
It has been fun.
Yeah.
We'll talk again soon.
Thanks for listening to The Divine Style with Gerlinda Stella and Alison Maiden. You can ask questions or find out more at gerlinda.com.au or alisonmaiden.com.